February 14th meeting of the BFRW committee to order. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I would like to begin with, I guess, welcome and introduction. So I guess let's take roll of all of the committee members to make sure we have quorum. Then I will allow anybody from the public that would like to be introduced to do so. And then I have a quick introduction to the meeting. So if you can go ahead, Dustin, and do the
BFRW Chair Roger Haringa.
I am here.
Council Chair Todd Bayrether.
Here.
Fire Code Tag Chair Dan Young.
Here.
We have a weirdness on this one. We have the Building Code Tag Chair as well, but Roger, you're in 2 slots on this list at the moment, so we'll probably be doing some pivoting at the council meeting potentially next week. So skipping that one, Residential Code Tag Chair Angela Haupt.
Here.
Thank you. And Wildland Urban Interface Code Tag Chair Katie Sheehan. And I am not seeing them on.
I just talked to her. I there she is right there.
Oh, okay.
And I'll ask the question after you're done, if that's all right, Chair.
Okay. Katie Sheehan.
Here.
Thank you. And then we also have a vacancy on this one due to some sad news. So with that, we do have a quorum today, and we can conduct our business.
Okay. Would anybody from the public like to be?
Roger, Chair, may I ask a question though related to our attendance here?
Yes.
Just want to clarify, is my representation here as the IBC chair and/or as the council chair?
I've got you on here as the council chair, not as the building code tag chair. Currently, I have Roger listed as the building code tag chair.
Okay.
So I guess there's some confusion on that with the reappointments and things like that happening. I don't have a clear answer for you on who's representing exactly what for the building tag at the moment.
Are you okay, Todd? I think that there is some question. I had still understood, Dustin, that Todd was the IBC tag chair yet. We haven't changed that, but I may be wrong. So we will certainly address this at the next meeting, which is next week. Okay, so is there anybody from the public that would like to be recognized?
Karsten Jonas.
Thanks, Karsten. And Dustin, if I don't see somebody who raises their hand, please.
I'll work with you to help monitor the hands.
Okay.
And I said Patrick
Aaron Scott with Pallet Shelters here to listen in.
Thanks, Aaron. Patrick, go ahead.
Yes, Patrick Hanks here with the Building Industry Association of Washington. I'm trying to multitask and also attend the TAG meeting. So thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Anybody else? Okay, I am going to do hang on, let me find agenda. Where did it go? I wanted to do a quick introduction. So, and talk about process, and this is as much to educate the public as well as the committee just on what our tasks are and how I see us accomplishing those tasks. So the group 1 code change proposals have gone from the tags to this committee to the council. The council at the last meeting approved to move all of these code changes proposals towards CR 102 filing. I don't know if the dates were included because I missed the last part of that council meeting, but just calling it June, July is when we're planning on issuing actually publishing the CR 102s. The BFRW, as part of that, has been tasked with managing any additional correlation that needs to occur on these proposals. Managing any economic analysis additional that needs to be done, and offering the opportunity for cleanup and or public comment for any of these code change proposals. We are aware of some of them that need either they were approved, but approved kind of last minute, and we know there needs to be some additional discussion on some of the details. I've talked with Council Chair Todd Bayreuther about the process a number of times. So Todd, if I misspeak, please jump in. I also want to say we are working very diligently to make sure our process aligns with the RCW, including the recent modifications, as well as the WAC and our bylaws. So kind of our process today, you will see the agenda. We're going to try to identify those proposals needing additional cleanup, public input, correlation, and or economic input. What I would like to do as part of the other business is to make it clear that there is a time frame for the public to flag additional if they think that there are additional proposals that we should look at. We want to leave that open for the public to comment on, that we can maybe add those to our list. The BFRW committee will then form the correlation committee, for instance, which I understand, Todd, according to our bylaws, that we as a standing committee can form the correlation committee. What I envision that is if there's some IBC correlation between IBC and IFC, we're going to call for volunteers from those two tags to come together for a meeting and do that correlation. The same with economic any proposals that need additional economic analysis. There is some information about the work group on economic impact within our again bylaws and our RCW. I also know that with budget cuts and staffing and contracting with budget freezes, the exact process of how we're going to do that is not completely clear right now, but this group will help define that. And then our committee will also provide opportunity for us to go through and do the additional cleanup and public input. So what I envision is this committee, we have meetings once a month. Our next meeting is currently scheduled for March 14th from 10 to 12. We may need additional meetings, I'm not sure. Plan on the once a month meetings. What I would hope is that today we spend our time trying to identify those proposals that need additional work. We can then announce an agenda for the March 14th meeting. And the focus there will be, so this committee will do the additional cleanup public input. So this is the meeting where the public will be able to provide additional comments on code change proposals. There will be a correlation committee meeting that is outside of this meeting, and the work group on economic impact will also probably be a separate meeting outside of this. So Todd, did I cover everything as far as you know?
I think that's consistent, and it's good to get that out. What our conversations have been, and when that question comes up, if we were to pull up our bylaws, I know Ken and others, you've been strong advocates, and thank you for that on what is this correlation committee. So that is the proposal that under our bylaws, Article 3, either the full council chair or a standing committee chair can create what is called a special council committee. And so that's where we're proposing this is. Now, there's also an ad hoc committee, and then by the council chair with concurrence of the council, that we're not proposing that. We're saying this falls under special council committees right there for a special purpose. And so, and then we'll have to address if the MV PE does its own separate correlation committee, or if we see any overlap. And we don't anticipate, a lot of overlap between those two standing committees, but let's start with what we have here.
Okay, and then I will just add, well, I'll do that during the agenda. So that is the agenda item 1, unless anybody else has any additional questions or comments. I would like to review and approve the agenda. If you can put that up, Dustin.
Certainly can. You guys are seeing the agenda now?
Yes.
Okay.
I have one clarification, and I think that this is the proper way to do this. Under other business in item number 8, I would like to be clear that we will clarify the process for the public to bring proposals forward to this group that they think that we have not identified that may need correlation, economic impact, or additional input. So we want to define under number 8 that process and timing.
Chair, there were
Yes.
2 things that I was hoping we could talk about today, and we obviously won't take action because I wasn't tracking on the agenda. One, can we please talk about any applications to the 3 tags that are under this committee? Would be the WUI, residential, and then discuss the single exit multiplex, assuming that this is under there. Maybe it's just more of an update, and then we won't take action, but
I can give a quick update on that one. So we have some additional applications that are coming in. They're being finalized right now. And I intend to send those out to the tag chairs here this afternoon. And it was my intent to bring it to the executive committee meeting this next Tuesday, or to the council meeting this coming Friday.
okay.
That was the plan on those.
Okay, and that's okay. I guess I'm proposing, can we have a bullet point here, since we have those 3 tag chairs present to talk about, because the next step is for them to make a recommendation. And while they haven't reviewed it, I understand we could at least have a discussion about it in a public forum. And then in that, I would ask that I be represented as the IBC tag chair for that purpose. I don't think we've taken action, to my knowledge, so we've changed I know we've talked about it, but I don't think we've taken action as a council yet to change the tag chairs.
Todd, you
I'm
actually
mistaken.
remind me, I forgot part of the section that I was going to do at the introduction for the public. And that is just to clarify where we are at in the process, or finish clarifying. So I talked about the group 1 code change proposals, which are the IBC, and IEBC, the IMC and IFGC proposals, and the IFC. This group also includes the residential code and the WUI code, which are part of group 2. And Dustin, correct me if I'm wrong, but so those 2 tags, that process will be ongoing this year. We will most likely have a similar process a year from now for us to go through any correlation or economic impact for those tags.
Not that long.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Roger, we don't, by a year from now, will be too late. We need to, this will probably happen in the, at the end of the 3rd quarter or beginning of the 4th quarter.
Gotcha. Okay. Micah, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I'm going to raise a concern again on the WUI code tag. I believe that any work on the WUI code is premature, especially considering the hazard maps or even the criteria for the hazard maps have not even been developed. Therefore, I'm not sure that adequate proposals to the WUI code can be provided that correlate or even coordinate with the hazard maps that haven't even been developed, or the criteria for them that haven't even been developed. Again, I'll speak in opposition to trying to move forward with the 2024 WUI code when legislation says we can't even implement it until the mapping is complete. And to coordinate a code to move forward, I think in such a short amount of time is a bad decision based on those folks that spoke out against the last WUI code and want to have involvement, a high level of involvement that I don't believe can get done in 7 months. Thanks.
Opposition noted, Micah. And again, my intent in bringing that up is to basically just be clear for people that we are currently focusing on IBC, IFC, IMC work. That is the work that's before us right now. There are 2 additional tags, the residential and the WUI, that are under this standing committee. So additional work may be coming up later, and I understand that I don't believe was resolved at the last council meeting, and we will need to, we will respond to that as things progress. Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, Micah, thank you. I was going to say that the only question at hand today is a discussion about populating that tag. So whether they do work in 2 weeks or in 2 years, it's starting to populate the group 2 tags. Thanks.
Ken, go ahead.
Didn't get my Ken Brulette, Seattle Fire, didn't get my hand up quick enough before, but going back to your bylaws with regards to special council committees and ad hoc committees, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears like any of these committees have to be composed of voting or ex officio members. The tags could be anybody that the council standing committees they approve in the council. So I'm not too sure, are you guys going beyond the scope of what a committee, of who's supposed to be on these committees or not? It's because special council committee doesn't talk about who, but ad hoc committees does talk about who. And I would just make the assumption that that's who we thought were going to be on there. And when the meetings I had previously, and thank you, Todd, for continue fighting for this, I always thought that it would be the chairs of the codes that would be this special committee that would be doing the correlating, because they would have the information from the tags. But it appears that we're just trying to make another tag to do the correlating, and not necessarily a committee established by voting or ex officio members of the council. Thanks.
Todd, you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. I think that's what we want to talk about today, and is we think this is the right vehicle that captures that. And as we talk about it today, let's establish it, because I think I agree with what you said, that the intent would be we bring in the tag chairs and start to populate that committee with already approved tag members that are willing. And in the past, when we've had joint meetings of tags, those weren't official correlation committees. Those were 2 tags going through a correlating effort so they could go do their business. We're trying to formalize that more. And I think we're trying to capture that intent that you just shared, but maybe we can, at the chair's will, bring that into that agenda item and have that deeper discussion today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try to get us back on track on the agenda. I think that my suggestion is we finalize that process in agenda item 8, if that makes sense with everybody. I think that's been added to the agenda down below there, and I recognize, as Todd said, I'm not sure we will take action on that because it wasn't published 24 hours ahead on the agenda, but we talk about it and come to an agreement on the process. So I guess, could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Point here, Dustin, as you typed that in, I meant to have that. Okay, I guess maybe it's a separate item. I see now what you're saying. And maybe it's not appropriate to have it in group in agenda item 6. Let's create a whole separate bullet point. Got it. I move to approve this agenda as shown on the screen.
Second.
Dan, is there any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, let's move on to review and approve the minutes from the December 20th, 2024 meeting.
Here. That's not what I'm looking for.
Are you able to get it, Dustin, or?
Yeah, I've had the wrong file opened up for this one, so it's coming from the
Okay.
network and it's going to take a moment to get it there.
Thinking.
Here we are.
If you could go to a single page so it's a little bit more readable and then go through it slowly. If for no other reason to make sure it is on there on the recording.
It's the end there.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I propose that we approve the minutes for the last meeting of, what was it, December 20th?
Sure.
Thank you, Dan. Second?
Todd, I'll second.
Thanks, Todd. Any other discussion or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Agenda item number 4, public comments on items not on the agenda. Does anybody from the public have any items that are not on the agenda that they would like to comment on? I will page through. I don't see any hands.
It's on my side.
All right, I will take that as a no. Let's move on to agenda item number 5, identify group run proposals needing additional cleanup and or public comment. So Dustin, I'm going to turn this over to you. It appears to me the way the agenda is set up, we will need to go for each agenda item, go through the lists of each one. Of IBC, IFC, etc. And somehow I think that what we will be doing is flagging them either by a color or separate column or something.
Yes. So, on this one, just to keep the focus narrow while we do these 3 separate tasks, I've got it separated into 3 different agenda items, and looking at where we're at on the time, I think we can get this done here today, but I was thinking that if we try to dedicate a maximum of 40 minutes or so to each of these items, that we can try to get the rest of this done, and then trying to get to other business, we may need to trim that down. But as I'm looking at what we have here to work with today, the International Building Code is probably the main problem child as far as having the most work left to do in that one. As part of the work of the TAG and the BFRW committee prior to this meeting, we already flagged some for some additional work in there. And so I've come through and put out but I've modified the table of the posting that was put out there for this meeting to include some additional columns on the right-hand side, where each column is going to represent the 3 agenda items we've got going on here. And the plan is to place an X in the columns to signify the work is needed, And afterwards, we'll highlight those specific boxes with colors, just to draw them to the forefront of attention. And that's kind of how I'm envisioning this one. As we go through them, I'm prepared to open up specific proposals and look at them. I'm also maybe looking for folks who are on the meeting to help identify ones that they've remember as having maybe additional concerns there. There's quite a few proposals here, and it might get a little difficult to just remember them all once. And so
And Dustin, I just want to remind everybody, our goal today is just to identify those. I think we open them up if there are questions for sure, but the goal of today is just to identify the ones that we need additional work. And Todd, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, and of course, Chair, it's your prerogative how to run these next 3 items, but I had envisioned it exactly as Dustin, you just described. It's a 2D matrix. And I suspect we probably will be talking about, on some proposals, all 3 of those categories, maybe at once, and seeking input from the public. So not sure how you facilitate that, Chair, but that's how I envisioned it also.
Well, I went back and forth, Todd, and if it's okay with the committee, what I would envision is agenda item 5, 6, and 7 as we go through the list. We don't need to go through the list and just say, additional input or correlation. Let's go through the list one by one, and if we think that it needs any of them. So it's going to be kind of a melded agenda item 5, 6, and 7 as we go through the list. No.
And Mr. Chair, would you prefer me open up proposals as we go through them, or should
I only think, Dustin, if there are questions. This, and if we pass over one that somebody doesn't flag this time, again, at the end of this, we're going to open up a period, at least a month for people to say, well, wait a minute, this item we missed. So we will have another opportunity to identify any additional proposals. So Todd, go ahead. And I guess I will ask, I'm not a great parliamentarian. We will be melding agenda items 5, 6, and 7. That seems like the most prudent way for us to go through this agenda, but maybe a little bit fuzzy from my peer Robert's rules perspective. So Todd, if you can comment on that, and I guess if anybody...
That's what I think envision too, and I think that's a proper way to do it. And then I guess the question is just make sure how that public, do you want them to comment at any time to help inform that? Make sure we all remember correctly especially from the IBC tag, for example, or is there a comment period after?
Yeah. Are you asking me a question?
Yeah, it's because some of these, I think a lot of the tag members that are on here can help us all remember, that we're reflecting as we documented in the tags correctly, what the intent was here and why we brought it forward. And we'll do our best, but we need help.
Yeah. Okay. Micah, go ahead.
Thanks, Roger. I do kind of have a parliamentarian question. How we didn't vote to fully approve some of these. We did vote to recommend moving them forward with possible changes to the SBCC. The SBCC then moved those forward further in the process. But I don't believe part of that motion was to redirect it back to this committee for the additional work. So I guess and you all can definitely correct me if I'm wrong. So the question is are we able to do this work, and then do we have to resubmit that to the SBCC for reapproval of that? Because I thought once it goes to CR 102, then it's going to go through the process for public comment. And are we now public commenters on the proposals? That's I get that's kind of where the confusion lies for me. And again,
Yes.
I'm not the best at it, but I thought the SBCC already made a motion to push this forward, and now we're looking at modifying those proposals that weren't complete. Thanks.
Todd, can you respond?
I'm happy to if you don't want to, but I'll take a shot first.
Yeah.
So Micah, then I hope you saw my email. We actually did very specifically kick it back to the standing committees. And to your question that you made, I think during the full council meeting, right, was why are you not just filing this right now? Part of it is that 180-day requirement. If, and Dustin, correct me if I'm wrong, it's too early to file a CR 102 with our adoption date, right? Our planned adoption date, and that's always been the case. But the second piece is that was the discussion and promise we made in the tags. We're saying we've taken, say for the building code tag, we've taken these petitions as far as we can go, and with further development without additional information, and or there were requests for additional public process. So the tag says, okay, we're at a point where we believe they should move forward for more public process. Then the question is, in the past, and I know that we had more in-depth conversations at the standing committee level at that phase, right? Before we move it to the council for filing for rulemaking. What we're saying now is we want a more formal process, and that's exactly, if you look back at the notes, it's exactly what we did, to say the council is recognizing all these group 1 petitions, is directing the staff on the ones that are fully green to start beginning to prepare the CR 102 filing, because we feel that there's consensus on those and they're going to move into filing in the June, July timeframe. These other ones, we want to move into the standing committee and have more public process, correlation committee, or more economic impact. And in some cases, that economic impact or small business is actually the information we needed to dial in some of the petitions. So that's the strategy. Now, whether hopefully we're all getting there, then agreeing to that, but that's what the council directed last week or whenever the last council meeting was.
That's helpful, Todd. And if it came across that I was questioning why we weren't filing the CR 102 now, that wasn't it. I was questioning why we were voting on these petitions that weren't complete to move into any CR 102 process, whether now or in the future. And I think some of these that were outstanding were not about developing further language. It was about getting SBCC full council direction on policy decisions. And so I'm not sure how those will be correlated now, because we never got those policy decisions. This is something we can probably go down a whole large rabbit hole on, but I'm all for what you all are doing. That was what hopefully we're going to respond to that email. Sorry for that delay on that one. But yeah, I think what we're doing here, trying to work through these, is a great plan, and it's a great opportunity. But I'll say it again, I didn't agree with the way the listing was and showing that the tag fully agreed to adopt EV infrastructure. We recommended they move forward in the process for additional input and direction from the council, but there was no recommendation for adoption on that. And that was one of my concerns, and still is. Thanks.
All right. Well, I go back, Mike. I want to think part of what Todd did not mention is there is a fair amount of work for the staff to create the CR 102. Hopefully at the end of the day today, there will be a list, I believe a relatively long list, of these proposals that are not flagged for any additional work. And the staff will be able to begin the process of actually creating the CR 102 for all of those proposals.
Agreed. I thought that was part of your motion at the last council meeting, so I don't know why some of these are even on the list today for reconsideration or anything else. That was the understanding of one part of your 3-part motion that you had written up and others moved for you. Again, I thought that was my understanding that was already occurring. So I'm not even sure why some of those have to be revisited, but here we are. No worries. Thanks.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead then. I hope, Micah, you understand what we're doing. Thumbs up. So Dustin, I think we should go ahead, and I believe we just go down the list, and I agree with Todd. If there are notes on here that we are aware of that we have flagged already, if not, I think that we just go through this process, and hopefully I will try and keep track of time. We've got 90 minutes left. Hopefully we can get through these in a relatively quick manner.
I think we can. I mean, most of these that I think the economic analysis part will be the more difficult of the subject that we're discussing here today. But as far as the correlation and additional work needed, I think those are fairly well flagged. And, the additional correlation, I think there's just a couple proposals hanging out there that may need some additional work there. So I guess with that, uh, should I scroll down to the sections where we have identified additional work needed, or should I just list these off one by one and pause and wait for some hands to come up potentially?
I think, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I think go through them one by one and just say, the first one, number 4, it looks like, construction documents. I mean, it was unanimously approved. And if you're not aware of any additional, economic impact that needs to be, you know,
Okay,
if we think, just give your recommendation that we believe that this is okay to move forward, that there isn't any additional work needed for that particular proposal. And then if anybody from the staff or the public or council members has questions about any of them, raise your hands and we'll talk
Okay.
through them.
and I'll keep an eye on the attendees list for some hand raising. One moment to prep that. All right, so we've got 24 GP1093, and I guess as I start running through the list to save my vocal cords, I'm going to just refer to the last 3 digits of the number. These
Yep.
are all 24 GP1 proposals. Proposal number 093 is for IBC section 107 for construction documents. At the October 3rd tag meeting, there was a unanimous recommendation for adoption by the tag with some additional revisions by staff to make the content of the revision clear. That was done and brought before the committee, and they moved that one forward. So I believe this one is clear for all 3 of our agenda items, 5, 6, and 7. Let's make sure I got my notes page open. See a hand.
Bob?
Well, I was just going to clarify for everyone, the economic impact in small business, I mean, that happens regardless of every single petition. So what we're really trying to flag today is if something of that information is going to inform, if any additional work on the proposal. Otherwise, a lot of these are fully cooked, but they do have to go through that economic impact and small business assessment.
Yes. So all of these will be included in reports when we file CR102. And I think that looking at them, I'll try to recall those that there was lots of economic discussion for the specific proposal, and we'll flag them for additional work for the work group of economic impact in that way. So with that one, we're on to proposal number 129. This one is for the IBC section 308.5.5 for family home childcare. At the tag meeting October 10th, this one was recommended for adoption and modified at that meeting. This one came to the BFRW at December 20th with no additional items flagged there. For number 132, it's for IBC Chapter 3, Section 305.2. It's Group E daycare facilities. On the October 10th meeting, the tag unit made a unanimous recommendation to move that one forward. Similar at the December 20th BFRW committee. The next one, 127, is for section 202 of the IBC definitions for family home childcare. On the October 14th meeting, the tag made a unanimous recommendation for adoption. And that one went through the BFRW committee as well. The next one, number 128, is another definition for high-rise buildings. Mike, I see your hand.
Yeah. Thanks, Dustin, and thanks, everybody. I just have a point of order that may help us move forward. The BFRW committee has already voted on these for recommendation for adoption. My understanding is you can't come back and reconsider these at this point. You would have to go only to the ones that were in yellow that were recommended for additional work or policy determinations. That's my point of order. I don't think you can come back and reconsider these anyway. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Robert's rules doesn't allow you to do that after the meeting has occurred. We're now in a new meeting. And again, correct me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead, Todd. I'll let you respond.
Yes, Micah. I mean, that is the point. So when we say it's recommended and then it goes to the council can redirect it, refer it back and so forth. So whether we really get into whether, in our opinion, the council referred these for the additional work and we're scrubbing them right now for this additional work, which is not reconsideration necessarily. I suppose that's technically possible, but that's not the intent. It's very clear that's not the intent. We're going through and making sure correlation and economic and flagging any economic. So the council has directed this committee to go do any other public process that's been requested or needed. And we're going to get to the yellow ones in a second here. Or we need to direct now the work group on economic impact what to do, right? Somebody's got to say, what are you doing? And we got to take these out and say, go look at these ones in particular. These are the ones that have been flagged as needing work. So I know we haven't done in the past like this. We're trying to make it cleaner and more transparent, and maybe we're successful, maybe not, but that's the intent.
Got it. And I guess my point being is why I said that is you probably don't need to go through these ones that are green based on that recommendation from council. We can't reconsider them anyway. And I was saying that would help move the meeting along, that I know we're short on time. That was
Okay.
what
Yeah.
Mike, I agree with you. As Dustin started going through, I was having second thoughts about the process. So the only thing I would ask is if members of the public, and Micah, you actually are one of them, that remember that we forgot that we needed to correlate something. You still have the opportunity, and my suggestion is over the next month to say, wait a minute, for instance, proposal number 054, we needed to correlate this and it didn't happen. Flag it and we will address that moving forward with this committee. So, and I think from a Robert's rules, yes, the BFRW recommended adoption. The council sent it back and said, identify anything that needs this extra work. We will do that. And then we will send it back up to the council saying we've done what you've asked us to do. Okay.
And I would
So that's,
go
ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'd also envision that there is a potential for some of these correlation items to maybe reach into the group codes. I'm not 100% sure, but as we're looking at them, I'd just like to keep potentially like the family home child care definition, make sure there's no correlation needed within the International Residential Code to go with that one. Just as we go throughout the next month, and as we do some of this work in group 2, there may be some additional correlation that needs to happen on that front, but it should be pretty minor, I would have imagined. So, after that discussion, Roger, do you think it would be appropriate to move down to the ones that are flagged that we know of?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead and, get to the ones that you are aware of that we need additional work, and maybe we spend a little bit more time on those so we know what work needs to be done.
Okay. And I will also bring everybody's attention to the column E here, which identifies the code that the proposal's for. You'll notice in like number 3, this one was touching both the International Building Code and the International Fire Code. I will pause for ones that may be marked in green to consider if the correlation has happened appropriately for those particular proposals. And they should also be on the other spreadsheets that we have going as well. Just want to make sure we're touching base on it. So running through, we have number 062, which is for section 10.008.2.1, touches both IBC and IFC. This one was moved at the October 31st meeting, unanimous recommendation for the revision 1. Also moved at the BFRW. I don't believe that anything was brought up at the BFRW for a different proposal happening, being approved by the fire code tag. So I believe that this one does not need any additional correlation. Same for the IBC and IFC 1013.7 for the International Standardized Pictogram for Exit Signs. This one had several revisions, and I believe that R3 is listed for both of them on the pages. Let me just take a couple notes real quick. This is
Karsten, go ahead.
Yeah, this one had, although I'm not sure if this question is better for the correlation, but this question had this proposal had some correlation with like some like L&I regulations. Do we know if that's
So as far as the L&I regulations, most of, so I guess, are you talking about the electrical code or what other correlations are you?
it was like the like L&I like safety regs.
Dustin, I'm gonna suggest that we flag it as potentially needing existing additional correlation. I mean, this is a perfect example. Is we're not sure. I don't know that we need to go through and finalize it, and I'm not sure about taking notes. How you want to do that. Certainly, Karsten, as we get into the correlation, if you can show up and if you remember, that's great. But let's flag that one for correlation.
And I got a note here to check into the L&I side of that.
Okay.
Thanks, got it.
Thank you, Karsten. All right, moving on down. Don't have any colors identifying anything crazy. All IBC specific proposals. This one, number 036 is the appendix for single exits submitted as a code amendment petition. This one's scheduled for the ad hoc tag for this group kind of in combination with our group 2. It's kind of broken out. I have it marked as red because we aren't ready to do anything with this proposal. There's been no work on it to date. Is there any discussion we should have on this particular proposal, Todd?
Just that it was submitted to the IBC. It makes sense because it's an IBC appendix as mandated, but yeah, we have to define the rules of how we move forward on that tag. So,
And that tag is being formed currently. It's in process.
and we'll establish what if there's a petition window, so forth. So, just to be determined.
All right, that brings us to our first one that is going to definitely need additional work, and I've already got some X's in the column for that one. We have number 118, which I'll call the Embodied Greenhouse Gas Emissions Report and Reduction Proposal. This one was receiving a lot of attention at the tag level, and there's a lot of folks inquiring on the additional work after it moved past the tag. And so since the December 5th meeting, there's been a lot of questions about what is the intended path for this one. So this one needs some additional work, and I'll pause for Micah.
Thanks, Dustin. A quick question on the single exit tag. I thought there was already a window open for those proposals and they were supposed to be submitted by March 25th. Is that inaccurate? I can't remember. Is that Roger? Maybe you can verify that if you don't mind.
I believe a window is open. I'm not sure of the date.
Okay, no worries. I just wanted to verify that because it was that there may not be a window open already. I wanted to.
And I would, and we may need to figure out how officially, but my assumption is this particular proposal will be assumed as part of that committee. It's already submitted and it's in the, one of the things we will consider.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that same thing. Do we need to resubmit it in that window, or
No.
will it just be transferred over?
It'll be
And then
transferred over.
I think that item L or column L there, scheduled for ad hoc tag committee, I would say that's proper to move it forward into that ad hoc committee. So,
Excellent. And then I know we will also be submitting probably next week a multiplex proposal to go
Okay.
along. So looking forward to it. Thank you for that clarification. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I stand corrected. Thank you, Micah.
Patrick,
Semi-related to that, I'll bring it up just because we brought it up. It would be nice if the council could figure out a way to more clearly let the public know what ongoing proposal windows are open and when they're being open. Notice hasn't been sent out for the residential window that just got opened up for the 2021 energy code. There was issues with the 2024 energy code, a notice not going out, and I wasn't aware that the single exit window was open. So I don't know if you can send out a notice for all these, or if you can make a page on your website that lists all the active proposal windows, but that'd be very helpful. Thank you.
I will intend to get a notice up as soon as possible for the windows that are open right now.
Okay, and I also just wanted to let the public know, my intent as this committee goes through those proposals that need additional input, understanding that 118 has a lot of input. My intent would be to organize these so we may have one meeting where we do several of them. We will have one meeting that we will focus specifically on 118, and we will make that clear and we'll announce that to everybody. We know that that's a meeting that will be have a lot of input. So
And so 118, I don't believe will need additional correlation across codes, but it will likely need some more economic analysis on that one.
and I from what Todd said, I guess the work group on economic impact, and my understanding of their charge will be to look at all of these proposals. All of them need to be addressed. There is some information that is provided in the proposals. That group is going to say, yes, it's that information is sufficient, or no, we need additional work done. Todd, do you agree with that process?
Yeah, and I think, again, I mean, there might eventually that column Q is all checks. I think today we're saying that economic impact analysis should be fast tracked because it might inform, the additional decision in column M. Is that fair? Is that how everyone thinks about it? For example, when we get to EV chargers, that was one that we discussed, and it was my opinion in the tag that we probably need the economic impact to further, blend those proposals together. Or simply deny them.
Okay, I agree with that. So you're suggesting that we flag those today, as we know that these need up on the list to make sure we get that impact, the economic impact work done, so that this BFRW committee by April, May, June can say, here's the BFRW's committee's recommendation, and move it to council.
And, for example, in 118, what effect does this have on small businesses? That's really critical information to move forward with that proposal. Yeah.
Okay, Patrick. Patrick, your hand is back up.
Patrick, if you're talking, you're muted at the moment.
Sorry, my internet dropped out for a second there. As a proponent of one of the EV charging proposals, I was not aware that those were recommended by the tag for further economic work that could impact whether or not they're going to be considered for approval. The tag already voted to move those forward. So I thought with like the embodied carbon, for an example, that proposal was never complete in terms of the economic section. So I thought that this process was an attempt to try to rectify that. But as far as the EV stuff, I thought those proposals were already moving forward.
Chair, if I may, since I was the chair of the IBC, the EV chargers, for example, obviously we have 3 petitions that was very deliberate that the tag move forward, but we can't obviously have 3 different solutions, right? We have to figure out at this committee level what the recommendation to the council is, and ultimately the council has to decide. But that's what we're doing right now. Yes, the tag put those in green, knowing that further information is needed, but that they should move forward. If they didn't move them forward, we can't even have this conversation, by new state law. So, and have this additional public process and the further economic development and small business work that we want to see done on it.
Micah.
Sorry, I'm trying to form my question here, but for the embodied carbon one that's yellow, I mean, that was kind of the same scenario for it was under the same scenario for EV. There were some questions on building size, structure size that this would apply to, and a couple of other things I think were clarity from the full council that were requested, and not actually additional work. Unless you all can remind me of the additional work, I think that would fall into the same category as the EV infrastructure one. Just a question there.
118, Micah, there were multiple people that wanted additional comments. You can see that there were 4 revisions. The final revision was arrived at, and the tag said, we believe that this is recommended for adoption. However, the discussion of the tag is we knew that there was additional comment that people wanted to make. So we did move it forward, but we also recognize that there are people that want to have additional comments on it. So we are opening that up at one of these future meetings, and we will discuss that. The economic impact is part of that, as well as we're allowing the public additional opportunity to comment on it. That work will be done in this committee. The tag felt like, from a technical perspective, the proposal is technically okay. It works technically. The work that we're going to do is continue to take comments from the public, incorporate that as best we can, and move a proposal, I think, that either deny or move that proposal along for the full council. Todd, you're Mike, are you okay?
I went after Micah.
No, that's fine. Thanks.
So Micah and all, I think these are all fair questions, because we are trying to define a new, a better deliberate process, right? One of my concerns has always been, in our previous process, is we would take something up to the standing committee of 4 or 5 council members, right? You're now at the appointed level of tag chairs, but a decision could be made there and no visibility was ever given technically on paper to the full council. So one of the reasons to bring it all the way up to the full council is that everyone has on paper visibility of all of the petitions that are going there, and then they direct the work. And then in this case, direct the work back to the standing committee, do the real work, the more public process in the standing committee, not in a full council meeting, but everyone's had visibility. So when the MVP, I listen to these meetings, but technically on paper, I don't see any of this stuff, and decisions could be made before it would ever be visible to my seat. So
just to follow up on that for Roger or Todd, does that mean we're going to go back and look at all 4 versions, or are we only going to pull up the version 4 that the tag recommended and provide modifications only to it?
For 118, it will be revision 4. That's what the tag approved. And there will be ability for people to comment on that revision. And I want to reiterate what Todd said. Last cycle, and I came in partway through the last cycle, but last cycle, the standing committees had a fair amount of leeway to make sometimes significant changes. And there was concern about the optics of that and public comment. So we are trying, in this case, these proposals are at this standing committee. We want to have an open process to move these forward and finalize this work that we know needs to be done.
Perfect. That works for the clarification, especially on which version we're going to look at. Thanks.
Okay. So go ahead. I think hopefully we're down on 038, Dustin.
I believe so, yes. So 038 and 114 kind of go hand in hand. The note there is a slightly different color from the tag on 038. And they recommended it for adoption with the caveat that if number 114 doesn't move forward. And so that was done at the November 21st meeting, and number 114 was moved forward at the December 2nd meeting. So there was no official withdrawal by a proponent for number 038. And the additional work I believe needed on this one is just to clarify that these proposals don't need to be combined or have overlapping requirements. I do believe that the content of 038 is more focused in nature, and the 114 proposal has a few more code sections involved in it. And so I believe that this one, as far as being flagged for additional work, just needs to clarify that which one is being considered for the CR 102 work. And so I have it flagged for additional work, but I don't believe anything else needs to occur on this one other than pretty much saying 038 doesn't need to move forward.
Okay.
Moving down, I'll stop at 074. This one touches all three of the group 1 codes that we are talking about today. Just to be clear though, at the council meeting last week, it wasn't clear to the public that we were also discussing the International Fuel Gas Code. So when we get to the IMC page of this one, the fuel gas code ones we won't be discussing. But this one is on IBC, IMC, and IFC. I do realize that the IMC code is not the purview of this committee, but I do believe that the appropriate folks were brought together. We did try to do a correlation group where members from the IMC or the MVPE, no, sorry, the mechanical ventilation plumbing tag, the building code tag, and the fire code tag came together to discuss specific proposals that were identified as needing some correlation. There was some discussion there, and then the proposals were brought back to the main bodies for further discussion. So at the December 2nd meeting, this one was a unanimous recommendation for adoption. And then same thing at the BFRW committee. I don't believe that this one needs additional correlation, but since it is identified as all three of those codes, I stopped to pause on it. Looking at the next one, we have number 115. This one is identified for additional work within the International Building Code. I do think this one might need some work within the mechanical code as far as the static dampers go. I'll pause for Chris.
Yeah, I had brought up the point that since this touches on fire alarm requirements, that the IFC should be involved looking at it. And then the other thing that I brought up during discussions of this was trying to get an exception added for water flow activation for the shutdown of the static dampers, since one of the items is allowing heat detectors. So it just would eliminate unnecessary smoke detection and fire alarm devices.
So that one needs some additional work to bring in the switch that you were describing there, and then also correlation between IBC and IFC. Chris, do you see this as needing to touch into the mechanical code at all?
Well, it was addressed by the IMC and the IBC. So if a change was made in the IBC, it would need to correlate with the IMC.
Okay. Ken.
It appears that link to revision 2 is broken. I'm trying to open it up, the one that was put on the website. I don't know if the one above it works just fine, revision 1, but the next one down does not.
Okay. I will get that corrected. All right. Then we get just scrolling back down. I don't believe that we have a.
Dustin, Chris has his hand up. I don't know
Sorry,
if it's
Chris,
still
go ahead.
up or.
Well, I was just going to say, I believe the only change between revision 1 and revision 2 was removing the last item that was other automatic control means approved by the fire code official. So I believe that was what got nixed from revision 2. But otherwise it's the same as revision 1.
Chris? No, never mind, sorry.
So I think you're ready to go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
All right, that brings us to number 066, the fixed guideway transit NFPA 130 amendments. The BFRW committee recommended additional work needed. The December 17th IBC combined with IFC meeting, they recommended for adoption, but noted that additional work was needed. So this one I've got flagged for additional work. And I believe this would also need correlation work within the IFC. And I would, I guess, ask Ken as the person I look up to as the IFC expert, if he would agree with that.
Yes, that's the reason I put the revised document together that showed what the IFC should state and the additional items in the IBC that was missed. So yeah, it definitely needs to go to correlation.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. And with that, that brings us to the end of the International Building Code and takes us into the IEBC. And within this one, or well, no, it doesn't. Hold on. Let me rewind back to the EV charging ones. So those ones aren't colorized as anything in particular. It was my understanding that the technical advisory group agreed on the technical language put forward by these proposals and wanted to move them forward. So I guess the recommendation for adoption in here is maybe not accurate. Should it be changed to recommend move forward in process and then same for the BFRW committee is to move forward in the process. Patrick.
Hey, I want to be careful with what we're doing here. I think if you're adding on, columns or information for moving forward with this process, that's one thing. But going back and changing what this committee already approved and the council already looked at, I have huge concerns with that. Once again, my understanding was that the TAG approved these to move forward to the CR 102 process for additional public comment. That was my understanding at the TAG level, not that we would do some separate process to get public comment or further analysis and then have an option of rejecting those before they go to CR 102.
That was not the intent of where I was going with the comments, but I'll let Katie go.
Yeah, sorry. I just thought that we were kind of flagging everything yellow that has an economic impact, and at least some of the proposals have that. And including some of this EV infrastructure. Is that fair?
It's fair that most of the proposals do have economic impact. These ones that we're talking here for the EV charging infrastructure do have economic impact. But the proponents did also provide quite a bit of information in that regard. So I'm not sure, so I think that we need to look at these ones, like what I was thinking was going to happen for these three proposals is that they would go to CR 102 as options, and then we would get further public comment at that point. And based on the public comment, we would adopt one of three or not make any change to the code based on the public comment after publication into the CR 102. So, I do agree, Patrick, that going back and changing what has been in this column for several meetings and agreed upon, I was only trying to make it clear that this one, that there's a little bit of a wrinkle in the process as far as bringing all three forward and getting that comment. And so we can't adopt all three of them, as I guess my main point.
Yeah, I would Todd, if I can jump in, because I remember as well, the three of them, all three are technically okay, so the tag moved them along. All three of them, I believe, have economic impact. There was discussion about the economic impact information that was provided with each. If anything, Dustin, I might flag these. We know that the economic impact may want to be looked at a little bit further. And then, yes, there will be three that get. I am unclear whether the council, prior to actually filing the CR 102, would decide on one versus the other, or if the council would say we're going to put all three out to the full public during CR 102. I'm unclear about that. I think the next step, though, as far as we're concerned, I would see an X under column Q there. Dustin, we flagged it. We understand the economic impact for all three of the proposals was questioned and discussed. So the work group on economic impact probably should look at that sooner rather than later. So Todd, does that?
Yes.
Line?
Yes, but Patrick, to your question, these have been referred back. So recommendations by the advisory groups have moved through the standing committee and back up to the council. The council now has directed this group to do this additional work. So whether it happens at the standing committee or at the council, more public process is needed to come up with recommendations on this. So this body doesn't have the authority to adopt or deny. Ultimately, it's the council, right? But it's important that this committee makes a recommendation to the full council. I personally hope that the full council is not dealing with three different proposals and trying to blend those together. I hope this additional public process can happen in the standing committee, and that's my understanding at the TAG level, all the way through to the council decision a couple weeks ago, that this is our intent, to have more public process on any of these. And these are disputed in the very nature that there are three proposals dealing with the same table. We have to come up with a solution.
And Mike, if I may, before, what I see this group doing is clarifying for the council. There are three proposals. Here's what the three proposals say. We recommend that you adopt one or none. And that goes, but just clarifying exactly for the council, here are the three proposals, here's what they say, and make a recommendation. So, Micah.
Thanks. I can't get all the proposals to open on the link either, but I thought some of the questions on this were not just about getting additional public input for the EVs. It was about the SBCC full council determining policy and whether or not the full council agreed that either we need to increase the percentage, decrease the percentage, or whether or not we already met the legislative requirement. That came up many times in discussion in the tag. So on these, I'm in agreement with Patrick on this. This was not about getting additional work to modify the code language. Those were all moved forward because of policy direction questions based on the legislation that was previously passed. And that was my comment at the full council as well, as why these were all green for recommending adoption when that was not the case from the tag, and that was agreed upon at the council. Thank you.
Todd?
So I'm not clear on what the recommendation is from Patrick and Micah. So are you saying we should have this full public process at the council level rather than at this committee level?
I thought that was a whole question from the tag and why they all three moved forward, because it was about policy based on legislative directive and whether or not the council agreed that any one of these proposals should move forward at all based on their interpretation of that legislative language. Thanks.
Patrick, go ahead.
I think Dustin summarized what I had in my mind without checking the specifics of the meeting minutes, but I thought that the tag thought that the technical language was fine and that they were recommending it to move forward to the CR 102 process to get that's the public comment, and then let the council decide, which they want to adopt, if they want to, how they want to proceed with that. That was my understanding.
Okay, Dustin, I'm gonna request on column O that you put X's on all three. I think that this standing committee does need to, in my mind, as a minimum, package the three together with some clarity going forward. For instance, you can't do one, and you can only do one, right? And I think that needs to be clear. I think that the economic impact for each needs to be clarified or reviewed by the economic impact, and then all three of them move into CR 102, and we can make this official at a future meeting, but all three go forward with CR 102 with caveat that only one can pass. It's a policy decision. We let the public comment on it during CR 102, and the council makes a decision prior to CR 103. Does that sound like an okay path? I mean, I don't know that the council, when the council, the meeting that we had a week ago at the council members did not understand that there were three proposals and that they said the same thing, except the numbers are different. Certainly didn't understand the economic impact of each of those. I think that information needs to get clarified and packaged, put out for public comment, and then eventually after public comment, the council needs to make the decision, and it is pretty much a policy decision. Yeah, I don't want to get into at this point whether we're meeting the minimum by the legislature, because I know there's multiple languages that you can interpret. So we don't need to get into that conversation now. Mike, are you all right with that?
Yeah, to a degree. I still, and I said this at the council meeting, there was an option discussed that the full council will need to determine if we're already meeting the requirements. Which you just indicated that the council would have to determine which one of these to move forward based on public information or public input on the CR 102 or to the CR 102, whichever. But if you do that, there's not an option for them to leave it as is. Maybe they just don't adopt any of them, but that was discussed at the tag as well. In many of the meetings, that there are folks that feel we're already meeting or exceeding the legislative requirement. So it's not that any one of these have to move forward. And that means it may.
I agree with you. So you're suggesting if it goes to CR 102, we would have to adopt one?
So
if you clarify that, I don't know if you have to.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I was not thinking that. I was assuming if we publish them in CR 102, there would be an option of adopting one or none.
But I think that the only thing they're seeing here is that the tag recommendation was for one of these three options to move forward, when that wasn't the entire recommendation. Because the recommendation.
That's why I have it flagged in number O, column O. I think that this group at a future meeting needs to be really clear about what we're doing with these three moving forward. And Rick, does that satisfy you that we're not going to decide today? I think we all understand that there's I think we all are talking about the same thing. We know that there's a decision that needs to be made, one of them or none of them. We'll need to figure out the exact best process for moving these.
I think we are. This is just new and way out of the ordinary. So thanks for bearing with me.
Patrick, are you okay with that or have more comments?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all of what I was going to say. My understanding is that when you propose stuff for adoption in a CR 102, you don't have to vote to adopt it. So while there's not an explicit proposal here to, do nothing, that the council, if they receive, public comment saying don't adopt any of these, then they could just not adopt any of the options and they would stay with where the code is already at. Our BIW's proposal and one of the King County proposals both deal with the same category of EV charging, but one of theirs deals with a different category. So there's two where it would you couldn't adopt both, but theoretically it would be possible to adopt one of ours in one category and theirs in the other category, so that there's a sort of a smorgasbord option there.
Yeah. Well, let's
Ready for
we have
those?
a flag. We will address it here at a future BFRW committee. Todd?
Yeah, and I understand everyone's trying to get through this process we've laid out, but it my personal opinion, it makes no sense to file 3 CR 102s. You're filing a CR 102 means an agency intends to change a WAC. It's just creating absolute confusion if you're saying you're going to create the same WAC, change it with 3 different proposals. So whether it happens at the standing committee or it happens at the council, it technically doesn't matter, but the intent here is to refer this back to the standing committee to come to some recommendation and most importantly, allow public input. And so while we have obvious ones that the tag and the flagged, and essentially the committee agreed to flag, we're going to open this up, and this conversation right now is part of that process, but also formally open up a window here that we're saying, does the public have any concern about any of these? This is the opportunity to trigger that public process in this standing committee. So I would recommend that all the comments here are triggering that comment period. And if that means these are changing yellow, then this is what we're doing. This is referred to the committee to resolve these kind of concerns.
I'm going to bring us back to the idea that our goal today is to identify those that need additional conversations. So I think that we have flagged those 3. They will be on our agenda at a future BFRW committee.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, Dustin, let's go ahead and move on.
I did want to just comment on the CR 102, CR 103 process briefly. I think that Patrick has it right as far as if we file CR 102, and it has been done by SBCC in the past to provide options on the CR 102, then based on public comment, option 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever the option count is, can be adopted or can not be adopted. And I think that that's probably the key point that would be missing in a CR 102 filing is the option to do nothing to that particular WAC. And so I think as we move forward, if we put forward options on the CR 102, that we need to make clear that the option to not adopt any of those particular proposals is an option in itself. And so I just wanted to agree with some of the sentiments there and talk about the process a little bit. All right, so we've got some marks here for the EV charging proposals. Going down into the International Existing Building Code, I don't have any proposals in here flagged for any additional work previously. Looking at them, most of them were pretty straightforward. Like most of the International Existing Building Code meetings happened in December over the course of 2 meetings, and so there wasn't a lot of contention on any of these proposals, and I don't think that they are warranting the flagging of any additional work or correlation amongst the codes. And I would pause to see if there's any comments on this particular book. Okay, then with that, I think we're through with the code proposals that touch on WAC 5150. And Mr. Chair, do you want to take a motion on this one, or as all of the group 1 codes that we're going to look at today as a whole?
Let's go ahead and get through all 3 tabs.
Then the next one I have here is the International Mechanical Code. It does have petitions that touch the International Fuel Gas Code. I'm gonna breeze right past those. You'll notice though that they're all disapproved. So we'll keep on moving. Starting at the first one, number 074, I do believe we talked about. This one is, there's no revisions on this one in the building code tab. And so this is the same proposal that we have. They deferred to the IFC and IBC determination. This one went through the MVPE committee, recommended for adoption. So I don't believe this one needs to be marked for any additional work by this group. The next one is a IMC IFGC combo proposal. I don't believe that's within the purview of this group to work with. So I will move past that one. And the rest of these have gone through the tag process. Not all of them were unanimous, but they've all been through the MVP tag and the MVPE committee. So with that one, that would bring me to the end of the International Mechanical Code discussion. Any comments before I move on from there? All righty. And that brings us to the International Fire Code. Let me get it bigger. All right, so we have some stuff here in red at the top that was withdrawn or denied. Moving forward, most of the, I think all of these aren't, there's no marks on here identifying any additional work needed. Sure, what's going on while we can't see that? We have proposal 074 with no additional revisions shown here in the spreadsheet. Went unanimous through this group as well and through the BFRW committee.
And remind me, that was one that we did have a combined meeting. Right,
Yes,
that
we did. We had a
combined
correlation work group on November 19th.
Yeah, okay.
And no revisions occurred out of that meeting of minds.
So to be clear, there was work done between both the IFC and the IBC. We
And
arrived
the
at,
IMC.
okay, right, and we arrived at a solution, and then both tags agreed, approved that solution.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We have 091 here as being a IBC IFC one. We must have missed this one in the IBC review. This one we have R5, went through the tag of the IFC and then went through the BFRW committee. I'm gonna pop back over to IBC just to make sure we've got R5 there. It's 091. We have R5 on this spreadsheet as well. So we've got the same proposals moving forward from both tags on 091. For 071, I don't have any notes that I took from our discussion on the IBC. Let me bop back over there to make sure we're looking at the same one. 071 has R4 at the bottom. So we're looking at the same revision number for both tags, and it went through the BFRW committee. 117 we were looking at as well. This one we'll just pop back and make sure we're looking at them all the same. 7. Where am I off to? 7, we've got R2 on both of them. And then 119, I believe we've got R3 in the IBC as well. This one we flagged for correlation on the L&I side on the building code tab. So I'll pop that there as well. 062 is revision number 1 within the IBC as well. This one went through the tag and the BFRW committee with no additional work flagged. And that is the end of that code book as far as our proposals that we have.
Okay. Let me get back to my agenda. So I would, we've gone through all code change proposal spreadsheets. We have flagged the ones that need additional input, correlation, and we've stated that all of them need additional economic analysis by the work group for economic impact. So I would be open to a motion for approval, although, and I guess before we get a motion, I'm curious, in my mind, getting down to agenda item number 8. I would like to propose this as a tentative or initial list with the idea that a month from now, when we have our meeting, if there are additional proposals that need work that are flagged by the public, that those would be added to the list. So I guess, Todd, you and I have been working on this, if that's the best process. I mean, I think at this meeting, we've identified some that need work. We will plan out that work, but I want to leave it open for any additional items that come from the public.
Yeah, I think I asked the committee whether or not any formal action needs to be taken. I mean, we've documented the process here and have begun the work, right? And I think when we get to agenda item 8, then a discussion about how we actually form the correlation committee, whether, you know, it shouldn't be today, but probably at the executive committee or in the full council committee, just since we didn't notice it, right? But I guess I'm curious whether we feel any formal action needs to be taken on 5, 6, and 7 today.
I was kind of leaning the same way. I'm not sure that we do. My hope would be at the March 14th meeting that we can, at that point, basically finalize it and make an approval of, here's the list of work that we need to do. And what I would envision the agenda for that meeting being, first, we would review any additional items that come in from the public. And we would probably schedule some additional work on some of those that we flagged, including maybe the March 14th meeting is where we hammer out the path forward for the EV charging. Does that sound like a reasonable approach? Your hands up, Todd. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say if there is action today, you know, it would be a motion to direct staff, Dustin, to post this as a whip, so that make sure that everyone sees this, and we could say it was posted on the website, and then work is in progress.
Yeah. I would see that as part of the process under number 8. So I think what I'm going to suggest is we don't necessarily need to take official action on 5, 6, and 7. And I'm going to say that we have gone through that process. People can raise their hands if they disagree with me. And I'm going to move us down to agenda item number 8. And I think I would like to get through the first item first before we talk about ag chairs and the correlation committee, because I think that can move into the executive committee as well. So on agenda item 8, I'm going to suggest that I would ask for a motion maybe to direct staff to publish this list I'm not sure, Dustin, if there is a way to flag, again, sort of going to Patrick's comment about when things are open for public comment, what the dates are, but I would like to suggest that we direct the public that they have prior to the March 14th meeting, and I don't know if you want a day or two before that, Dustin, to say any additional proposals that you think need work, have the public flag them by March 12th.
If we could have the deadline be the 7th, that would
Okay.
give us better time to do the review on the comments that come in and get it posted for digestion.
Okay. And then this group will dig into those proposals that need action. So I guess I would ask for a motion for that. Or can we have a motion because that information wasn't listed under other business?
Chair, before we make the motion, also, can that include maybe publishing kind of dates certain when we would have take testimony, take public comment on these? I know that's a question I get a lot, is when can we talk about 118? When can we talk about these other,
My goal, Todd, was on the 14th, we finalize this list and have conversations. Looking at it, EV charger and 118 were the two big ones. So if on the 14th we finalize the list, we do the EV charger, any other smaller ones that we have, and then whether we wait until the April meeting or whether we have a meeting at a different meeting, that would be the one where we would address 118. That would be my goal moving forward.
that makes a lot of sense. And I'm thinking back in the past, especially on the energy side, that's how we've conducted it. We've said, maybe a Thursday and a Friday. Thursday, we're going to hear, this certain petition, and then Friday we do that. And then just to make sure we're respectful of everyone's time, that they're not waiting on other petitions.
Well, that would be my proposal. What I have been thinking about the process moving forward is we try to deal with all of them besides 118 in a meeting, and then we have a meeting that is devoted just to 118.
Okay.
And I would be happy putting that agenda out there and getting those dates published. I think that's the purview of the committee chair and Dustin of, all right, here's our agenda, here's what the plan moving forward. So I'm fine just doing that. I'm fine doing that anywhere at any time.
And would we wait till March 14th to put those dates out, or would we strategize sooner than?
I would like to strategize sooner rather than later, Dustin. I would like to get in fact, offline, I want to chat with you about the single exit tag as well. We need to talk about schedules of some of those meetings and getting those going. So I think that the plan I have is to move forward, like I said, on the 14th, and then have one other meeting, whether it's an extra meeting or wait until April 12th or whatever that date is for 118. But we will publish that schedule.
Okay.
So Roger, perhaps, it's at your will here. We could take public comment today on these issues, not take public action, but you could come forward we could put it on the agenda item for the executive committee on Tuesday, and then take all these actions where you as chair could form the correlation committee, formally, and then we could propose a schedule and have the executive committee take public comment and then take action.
That sounds like a good plan for me moving forward. I mean, I want to get it out there to the public, formalized notice.
And then we can share that with the full council on Friday.
Yeah.
That those actions were taken. Okay.
Okay. Is there any other the first bullet item, clarifying the process. I think that we have done that, unless anybody's got other comments on it. The tag chairs to discuss additional tag applications. So Todd, you added that. Would you like to?
Yeah, and obviously, again, same thing. We can't take action on today, and maybe it sounds like other applications. And I know many of us have been busy trying to get the word out, recruit. So if these applications are coming in, I guess maybe it's a special ask, if not today, that it would be perhaps Katie and Angela, if they're willing to come to the executive committee meeting on Tuesday. So if everyone remembers, the way this process works is we take these applications in the count, and then I believe in our policies and procedures, we've established that both the executive committee or the full council can approve those chairs, but the staff makes a recommendation, the TAG chairs make their recommendations of the applicants, and then either executive committee or the full council approves. And that's what we did in a few weeks ago on the full council. I think we're maybe saying we could also get that process going with the executive committee on Tuesday and then bring it forward to the full council on Friday. And again, this is just populated. We're not going to get them all completely populated, but let's take a second round and keep shaping these.
Yeah, I'm thinking that having the regularly scheduled executive committee and the council meetings monthly gives us good opportunity to get folks placed on those tags, within 2 weeks of receipt of their application. And so I'm hoping we can move it forward at the executive committee level. We have one application for IFC for Patrick here, who we missed at the council meeting where we were handling that. And then so we were wanting to get that one moved forward, but there's other ones that haven't been published out there yet that we're looking to move forward as well. And so, but I don't think we have an overwhelming number of applications. And so we're still looking at a lot of vacant seats on all of our tags. So the energy code tag is pretty well populated, but the remaining tags still have some decent vacancies in them. And like one in particular that to Micah's point might make it difficult to do anything right now is the WUI code tag. It's very sparsely populated at this point, and I don't think it would be potentially right for the WUI code tag to work with a quorum of 5 people, or not a quorum, but have like 5 people on that tag to do the work that has been under a lot of scrutiny. Ken?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you're looking at, what I'm hearing is you're looking at adding things to an executive committee meeting on Tuesday, February 18th, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that agenda hasn't even been published yet, and we have a holiday on Monday. Are you going to run up into the same problem that you can't act on certain things because of notice again?
Well, it's my plan to get that agenda out here this afternoon. It was a lot of the content of that agenda has been envisioned as being impacted by the work done here today. And so we're trying to get that out here this afternoon.
Okay.
Todd?
Yeah, and Ken, for full transparency, our intent on the executive committee is to meet, try to better package things for the full council meeting on Friday. So that's the intent, to move it in the same week of the meeting. So all of this is to try to bring more direction, in front of the actual full council meeting.
I will paraphrase that to say we are doing our very best to try to meet all of the publishing of agendas required, and keeping the process moving.
And I'd say even if we ran into a situation where we couldn't take formal action on that, we're still providing the service to the full council to try to streamline those meetings.
Okay. So the tag chairs, I think we've decided we're gonna move along and Dustin, you and I may need to email or call or Todd about getting that agenda. Making sure we pick up everything so we get that published today. So what about the correlation committee discussion? I've got thoughts and ideas, Todd. I don't know if you wanna, how you wanna, there was a comment made earlier in the meeting today about the official forming of a correlation committee. The process that has gone forward previously on some of the items that, and one of them I know I mentioned is there was a joint meeting of IBC and IFC. That meeting, we arrived at a solution for some of these proposals. Then both of those tags approved that proposal. So that is one form of correlation that has already occurred on some of these. My suggestion for a correlation committee is we have, I'm going to say a handful of, I don't know, maybe 10 proposals that need correlation between various committees. My suggestion is at the next meeting on March 14th, we have those, we understand which committees are required, what correlation is needed. And at that meeting, we form a correlation committee. And I think Ken had comments on who makes up that committee. It could just be Ken had suggested the chairs of the specific tags. I would actually suggest that it be opened up to more than just the chairs. So for instance, if there is additional fire and building code tag information, that there are a representative group of building code tag members and fire code tag members that form that correlation group. Micah, are you going to comment on following the rules?
No, I'm going to comment on your recommendation. Roger, I agree with your recommendation. That was the recommendation that was made right towards the end of Stoyan's tenure here at the SBCC. And the SBCC, the full council, voted not to have a correlation committee as a separate one or a correlation tag. The recommendation of the full council was to actually have the chairs of the tags be the correlation committee through the BF or whatever this new tag name is, or the other tags as being the correlation committee. So I agree with you. It should be more and more people should be involved. That's what we pushed for. We got turned down by the full council. The chairs are it. I don't think we can modify that unless council action is taken further. Thanks. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Roger, but that wasn't the direction of the council.
Then Micah, what I would suggest to you is we will have a meeting with the correlation committee and we will invite input from a whole number of people. And then the correlation committee would be the voting members of that committee. So Todd, is that?
Yeah, I think everyone sees what we're trying to fix here, and Micah was there. So the idea here is we're out of the tag process, right? This is not another tag. We've done that. We've done joint tag meetings and then the tags take their appropriate votes, right? So the recommendation has gone forward. We are now under obviously the authority of the council, but this is referred to the committee. So we're under now, the committee is responsible to take the final votes on the recommendation, but these special committees are now a lot more flexible. But we are, I think I'm hearing, and also the opinion that we need the tag chairs on that council, and then we pull in approved that tag members that already been approved to come into that. And we already kind of know who that is, but yeah, we should absolutely, reach out to the current tag members to invite them that are interested, that want to do this kind of work, to come into that committee. And whether the formal voting process of that correlation, that's not the reality of correlation. Correlation isn't really contentious, I don't think, but Ken and others on this call know better than I do in that process. But the hope is that we are doing the wonky part and getting this correlated and bringing it back to the standing committee to obviously vote on, so. But this is the feedback opportunity, please, on that strategy. And I will say, I don't think that necessarily says you only can take the input from TAG members. If there is our specialty, subject matter experts that are not on a TAG that we need to pull in to help, that's a good vehicle to do it.
If I can ask for clarification from either Todd or Micah, so I would have to go back and get the minutes, but basically you're suggesting that this group is the correlation committee. That's
Well,
is that right?
Yes, but we need to invite TAG members that are,
Yes,
because many of us are not the subject matter experts.
that's
Ken,
why.
assuming you're willing, you have to be there, please.
I'll be teaching classes, so I might not be available.
So
I was
I'm
hoping
not-
that everybody be a little further along by this, because like Mike has said, this was discussed and approved by the Building Code Council a long time ago, and and the Building Code Council has never put together the correlation committee as outlined in the minutes of those meetings. And
Yep.
I've gone through those minutes several times, brought it up several times, and we're back to square one that
Well,
nobody knows what's going on.
well,
okay,
Ken,
not square one. We are superseding those and we are moving forward.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Then-
what I will do,
Then
I
you
mean,
guys
I think
are the core, what you're saying is you guys think that you are the chairs are the correlation committee. That's what you're all agreeing to right now.
yes, and Ken, I am agreeing to that, and my suggestion, and this is why we're talking about other business, how we're moving forward. I'm gonna go back to that committee meeting, that council meeting pull the minutes and have real clarity for everybody what the official correlation committee is. Assuming that it is this group, and it sounds like it is, but I will confirm that. We will have a correlation committee meeting, whether that is one of the regularly scheduled BFRW meetings or whether we have a separate meeting. We will invite TAG members to that. This group, as the official ones, would do the official voting, but we will do the correlation at that meeting with any TAG members that are interested, any subject matter experts that are interested. We will do the correlation, and then the correlation committee, the official one, will take the official action. And I think that meets both the hope and intent of getting the technical input to do this correlation and meets the official correlation committee formulation that was passed by the State Building Code Council. Micah?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Roger, if you'll contact me off the meeting, I think I put a whole email together about the correlation committee and the adjustments that were not made and some documentations, right, as Stoyan resigned and where this landed. So I'd be happy to help you with that research because it was several hours of my time to try to find it. So
I would ask if Stoyan left right after that email, Micah? And because of it,
you know what? It was just documentation and process, and then he left. And then when I tried to go back and find out where this landed, was a long email that I may have sent Dustin, or it went somewhere.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to help you with some research time, and you and I can chat about it later. Thanks.
that help would be appreciated. And yes, for the next meeting, I will try to have that clarity, maybe even at the executive council, executive committee meeting on next week. We'll see.
So looking at the October 2023 council minutes, there is a motion to form a code correlation tag. It's agenda item number 6 where that motion happens. And I believe that Micah provided a timestamp for the discussion there as well in his email, so I can make that available as well.
Please do, and then I will work on clarifying the makeup and again, Dustin and Todd, we should compare notes this afternoon so we can get the agenda for the executive committee published this afternoon. Are there any other comments? If not, we will move to agenda item number 9, which is to adjourn. I appreciate everybody's input. I do hope that everybody is understanding. We're trying the best we can to have an open process, finalize these proposals, move them into CR 102. Doing our best to try to meet all of the new RCW requirements, the WAC and the bylaws. So I appreciate everybody's help on this.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chair or chairs.